Lynne Devine.
Well, I'd actually like to follow on from what Sheena was saying, because this very morning I was at a meeting of something quite exciting, and it is probably on the Finnish kind of example. It's called the Early Years Collaborative. Now, this is a fully funded programme by the Scottish Government, which is only a year old, and what it does is bring together social workers, education workers and health workers from 0 to 8. What they're doing is getting people who are just pregnant, and at 6 weeks they are offering the support for people who have got difficulties and people who may not have difficulties. Having a first child is a pretty difficult thing anyway, so I think this is just a wonderful starting point. The government already, this is under devolution, so what could we do with the powers of independence? We are also increasing from 475 hours to 600 hours of preschool care come August. So attempts are being made, and yet to provide the actual amount of preschool care that's required to let women get back to work, and men indeed too, it would need an awful lot more money. I kind of get really excited about the thought of independence in actual fact. I wish that, there's not often I wish I was a teenager, believe me, but to be a 16 or 17-year-old, to be able to vote for the first time for an independent country, I think is just so exciting. I had to wait till I was in my 40s till it came to me that an independent Scotland would be a good thing, when I was actually, at this point, not a teacher, but I was working for a fair trade organisation and had the really enjoyable experience of meeting people from Nicaragua, South Africa, Palestine and Mexicans. And I had a conversation with the Mexicans which changed my life. It went something like, we thought Scotland was an independent country, so we're a bit surprised. How does Scotland have a say in Britain? No, I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. When you think about it, we now have 59 MPs. At that point, we had 72 MPs. There are 650 MPs in Westminster. I'm sure you all know that. How does 59 MPs ever have any say? This is the democratic deficit that we talk about. The fact that we've only got one Tory MP in Scotland, and yet we have Tory government and all that's coming with it. The majority of Scottish MPs did not vote for the bedroom tax, did not vote for £100 billion on Trident, did not vote on the privatisation of the Royal Mail, but we have all of these things. How sensible is that, to allow people who know nothing or very little about Scotland to take decisions about Scotland? So what about our young people's chances in a Scotland, an independent Scotland? One of the things that would be coming here would be extra jobs. Now, we can say, in all fairness, we would want to encourage the economy and grow the economy, but there will be very important jobs coming to Scotland, in that we would need to have departments of Foreign Affairs, Department of Defence. These are high-powered jobs which are being done at the moment in London, which is the most expensive part of the country. They would be with us. They would be good, well-paid jobs. Our young people wouldn't have to go abroad for such well-paid jobs. At the moment, Scotland, as you know, is a very rich country in energy, food and agriculture. Our exports in food and drink have gone up 55% in the last 7 years. Lots of young people are going to agricultural college. We need land reform so that they can get land to have their farms, but that's a possibility. That is a much greater possibility in an independent Scotland than if we stay within the Union. We have increasing engineering. People say to me, we don't make anything. But we do, and there are more engineering companies coming to Montrose than ever before. The port in Montrose is starting to burgeon. There's lots of new jobs, creative jobs. And what's, I think, exciting is in the past few years, I've seen an increased linkage between schools and colleges, schools and businesses, businesses and universities, and that all gives young people a much better, a clearer idea of what is available to them, and they can dip into it. We have opportunities for young people to go from school to college if they don't want to do an academic qualification. There are the apprenticeship schemes which have been very successful and will continue to be, but I think we can again increase the number of these as we go forward. Independence. So I would say generally that obviously we have to have a substantial economy, but we have a good economy now. I understand that per capita our output is the same as England without oil. So oil is a bonus, and when people say, you know, unionists say you're depending on oil, the oil prices will go down, the oil is disappearing. Well, the oil prices have always gone up and down. What you were saying about certainty, there is no certainty in this world. Life is not certain. 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't realise we were going to be in this bad economic situation. Nobody would have thought so. We're having to cut important services to people. And it's not fun being a counsellor these days, I can assure you, because things that were put in place several years ago when there was lots of money will be cut because we just can't afford them. And it's not right that we can't afford them. You know, this whole thing about public and private, well, they keep telling us that Scottish, you know, people in Scotland are all in the public sector. It's a smaller percentage in the public sector in Scotland than there is in England. So again, you know, that we keep getting fed this information and people keep believing it, and it's up to us and to go onto these websites and to, you know, look at all the Twitter and everything like that. That's where you get the information. The different side of things from you get from the mass media, which is not on our side. Which I think is surprising, don't you? Because a lot of young people who are in the creative industries, in the National Collective, are all for yes. They can see the potential in independence. Why can't the journalists see the potential to be reporting from a Scottish point of view what's happening in Somalia or anywhere in the world? I find it peculiar, to say the least. I honestly don't think that there's a specific kind of thing for young people. I think for everybody it is the same kind of process. In September we'll take this decision for people in Scotland to take decisions for people in Scotland, not for our neighbours to be taking decisions. I mean, somebody said to me the other day, it's just like, you know, you work, you get your money, and you give it to your neighbour to spend the way they want to spend it. Well, who would do that? But that's what we do. We do it all the time. I think last year, it was a substantial amount of money we didn't get back. We gave £4.4 billion more to Westminster than we got back. That was an unusual year. I think over the last 30 it's been averaged out about £2 billion a year we haven't got back from Westminster. What could we do with £2 billion every year? We would have the A9 dualled like that. We would have, I mean, we are making progress in new schools, but we could have been way down that route earlier. There's just so many things. £2 billion is a lot of money when it's all put together, and that's what we're losing out on. So I'm going to stop there, because I think you may have questions, you may just want to have comments. So will I just leave it at that?
Okay.